It is spring equinox, a time of shifting and change and possibility. And what better a time to be opening into this conversation, diving in deep with a dear sister of mine who I'm bringing in to get into and open up on the magic in the muck, the magic in the mess, the magic when life is hard, the magic when really there's all of the reasons for life not to be magical. So what? Hi, gorgeous. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to see you. So what a beautiful, powerful thing when we as humans get to create magic against all odds, when there's so many things that are going on in life that are not magical, to reclaim magic in our lives and to create magic in our lives and to feel that depth of magic in our bodies and our realities and to expand our consciousness into what we can create from that space. So with that, I'm inviting my dear sister, my beloved friend, Autumn Richardson, into this live for us to be all of the juiciness in the conversation of creating magic against all odds. Yay, there we are. Hi.
It's so good to see you, to be with you.
Good to see you. How you feeling? I'd forgotten that it was spring equinox and when I woke up, and then I was like, oh yeah, today's the day.
Spring has sprung. I'm feeling good. I feel ready for the blossoming,
Yeah.
for the budding,
Yeah.
for the life.
For the blossoming, for the budding, for the life. I think that one of the things that I'm excited for us to talk about, because like seasonal changes for me and in my own world, they bring up, a lot of the things that are meant to be let go of the previous season to create space for what we're entering into. And I know that, in our conversations, like you've been going through this big shift in your own personal life, and like so have I. And in my world, like spring is always just an expansive season. Like I would say honestly, spring is probably the most expansive season for Here We Grow. And it's the time where I don't know why this is like beyond my own knowing, and I would love to get this from you too, and then we'll like introduce you because I just kind of dove right in. Where it seems like so much of the work, I do know why. So much of the work, like the inner work and like the pouring into and the watering and the nurturing and the creating and all the things that happen like behind the scenes of being entrepreneurs, of being just like women that hold like really big, wild missions. They come to fruition in ways that are beyond what we even like thought possible. And sometimes it's like not at all what we expected, and a lot of the time it's beyond our imagination. And so yeah, I think it's very on purpose, not by me, but something beyond me, that our talk happens to be on spring equinox, because I didn't know that it was going to be now until today. I was like, oh yeah, we're going live on spring equinox.
It's how it always works, right? It's little synchronicities and alignments that confirms, like, oh, yep, this is all happening. And I feel so similar with the spring energy, especially after a true winter, which I lived in Hawaii for about 6 years. So it's so different to be on the mainland and have that like real winter immersion where it is freaking cold. I live in a little mountain town. It's snowing. There's not much to do. You're in more of a hibernation, and then to get to experience spring. And it's true as well for business or any other aspect of life where we're in the dark, we're going through it, things are hard, we're being confronted. There's not as much inspiration, there's not as much to say, and then for there to be that shift in tide and that new season to come in, it's like, whoa, I'm alive.
I made it through the death of winter. Yeah, it's so true. And like we talk about, we're both earth loving women, and earth medicine is dear to us in our own unique ways, and it's one of the things that's like bonded us. And I think about, when I talk about regenerative wealth, or when we think about regenerative systems as a whole, it's everything is cyclical, everything is seasonal, and so we get to like reap the
like the juicy rewards and the nutrients and the wisdom and the value from the previous season in order to really be able to allow for the next season to serve its highest purpose. But if we don't actually like sink into what the previous season has for us, then we kind of go into patterns or go into ways of being that are just repeating the past over and over again. So I think that's also just a beautiful invitation, you know, as you're bringing in, you know, the energy of winter and shifting into the spring season of getting to really soak into, oh yeah, I learned this, I gained this is giving me the value that's going to allow for me to show up in this next season in a way that is, yeah, it's fresh, it's new, it's alive, it's exciting. And there's a rebirth process that happens for me like every fucking like week, but especially during the seasonal changes. And so I'm sure, you know, you have your own version and flavor of that, but I want to introduce you officially. So how about you just go ahead and share yourself, you know, like a little bit about yourself and what your work is and whatever else you feel like would be really good to get to know just as we're easing into the conversation for the people that are watching this from my community. And then, yeah, we'll get to dive into the things that feel really like juicy for us.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me and having this conversation with me. I freaking love you. I love what you do in the world. I'm so inspired by you. I'm so grateful to know you and call you a sister in this lifetime. So thank you for being you. And my name is Autumn. I mentor women in the realm of loving this existence, tapping into the quantum mindfuckery that it is to be alive and harnessing that to co-create with the divine. So whether money or love or just receiving that which is better than you could have dreamt up, I help women do that, tap into that. And my journey started back when I was 18 and had an eating disorder and started sharing my recovery on YouTube. I gained 40 pounds in a month. I made a YouTube video about that that went viral. And I started coaching women really naturally from that space. And my work has evolved as I've evolved. So it's had many iterations, deep goddess, witchy, coven vibes to my newer being spoiled by life iteration. So it's something that's grown as I've grown. And I've loved getting to kind of grow up with my business, like go through my whole 20s having this business, which has been a trip and is equally magnificent and cringy to look back on. Like all these things, I'm like, oh, yeah.
I love this. I love you so much. I'm so grateful that you're here and that we get to, yeah, connect in these ways and weave together. And there's so much synergy that I appreciate in our reflection. And it is a really, I wasn't even expecting for this to come up right now, but this is what's showing up for me. It is a very like unique pathway in entrepreneurship to become visible so young, I think. And, you know, I think the reason it's coming up is because a lot of the work that I do lately with my clients has been, you know, expanding your nervous system capacity to be more visible in your authentic leadership, right? So like to be holding and expanding community and money and wealth and what's required of that in social media. And so like for you, it just feels so relevant, the fact that like you built this business so young and you've been visible for so young, and you've also been going through so many different identity shifts and changes. And so, I mean, I wasn't even expecting to talk about this, but I just like, I feel like this is so good, like to be able to dive into, because it really does change, you know, our whole perception of ourselves and our whole perception of life when we know that we're getting to be seen in ways that most people will never be seen, like truly seen. Excuse me. And I think that, you know, part of your magnetism that I love in the magic woman is, and I love that you're like the magic woman is something that's so huge for you and your brand and your work, because we're in Magic March in my membership right now. So all of the transmissions I've been dropping are like super magic oriented. I'm like, oh, this couldn't be more perfect. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you, and we can just see where this goes around expanding your capacity to hold yourself in the public light, being really visible, going viral so young, and how, your leadership has grown and evolved in that way. And, the ways that has created magic for you in your life, and maybe like the things that aren't magical or that have been challenging or sticky or hard to get to navigate, but that have initiated you into a more powerful expression of yourself, and to be able to share that with your world and with, the people that receive from you.
Yeah, this is a fun realm. I'm glad we're talking about this actually, because I've been reflecting on it more and more because yeah, I started my journey. I was into 18, about to turn 19 when I started making YouTube videos, and I was making them as an extension of my, it was my soul, it was my art. I had just gone through this experience of modeling, moved to New York City, kind of failed. I broke out full body hives. I could have kept going and kept pushing, but it's what I feel like was my intuitive awakening, where I heard from myself, my soul, my body, this isn't for me. So I moved back to West Texas, and I had this YouTube channel, and I was like, what am I going to talk about now? Like, I'm not modeling. What am I going to do? And I started talking about self-love and eating disorder recovery, is that's what I realized I needed. So I was sharing my journey in real time, and I didn't do it to monetize really. I did it to create, and I downloaded this editing system. So I was making these really cute videos, like what I eat in a day, and it's oats being poured out of the measuring cup and then back in and then back out. Like super fun being my art. And I was young, and I was just sharing because I felt called to share. But I went super, super viral. I had a couple of videos that got over 1 million views on YouTube in 2017, which was a big deal. Now on Instagram, you can go viral like that. People have millions and millions of views. Then on YouTube, that was like a big deal. Like I went viral. And I actually ended up turning some of those videos to private. They're not viewable anymore because of the different people they had drawn, men, women, everyone in between, eating disorder recovery, to things that were totally not in resonance. So it's actually been quite a big journey for me, especially when 2020 happened. I don't think we've talked about this at all, Jasmine, but my parents raised us, and my dad's have these different iterations, but at some point they became conspiracy theorists, pre-COVID conspiracy theorists, like friends that had bunk houses, friends who didn't even have money that were jewelers, so that they always just kept gold and diamonds as a currency. Like super, yeah.
Well,
So
I what we're talking about.
dude, it's been like and yeah, like one of the cornerstones of my path has been existentialism because of my parents kind of being like, when I was 16, setting us down and be like, the government is ran by deep state, which is actually aliens. And I'm like, what is fucking reality? Like, what is true? What is up? What is. So when COVID happened, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what was true. I didn't know what to believe in. And this is one of the bigger obstacles that I face, even as a mentor, is like, this is a way, but I don't know. Like, none of it's real. Like, I can get super existential quantum with it, where I'm like, it's true and it's not true, And I'm like, okay, I could use a little more conviction and like down into one pathway here. But yeah, to be seen like that, to have, I was thinking about this too. I was in an art gallery yesterday and, looking at the different art, and I'm like, I don't like this at all. I like this. This is weird. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what people do when they see my work. When they see my viral video, they're like, I don't like this. This is weird. I like that. Oh, I would hang this on my wall.
Yep.
And to put yourself out there like that is so vulnerable.
Yep.
And the man I'm dating, actually, when he saw my Instagram, this is going to be my newest tug coming through. He took my Instagram and had to see a therapist, which was true. He hired a therapist because it brought so much up. And I'm like, that's not a normal job. Like, to be seen, you've got to really have yourself and hold yourself and be willing to be with everything it brings up, not within other people, but what that brings up in you as a consequence. One time my parents were joking. They're like, yeah, our daughter posts this weird stuff on the internet. I'm like, oh, they really feel that way about me. Like, what? I get to hold that, I get to expand. But then on the other side of it, it's like my work's impacted thousands of women. I've helped women. I get messages still to this day from my eating disorder days like, Autumn, I followed you 5 years ago, and without your YouTube videos, I wouldn't love myself. So there's only trade-offs, right? No solution. So being seen comes with everything. Magnets work in the 3D through attraction and repulsion. And to know like, oh, someone's going to be actually repulsed. They're not just going to not like what I do. They're going to be repulsed by it and my art, but other people are going to be really drawn to it. So you've got to be able to hold both of that. And I think it's a forever evolving journey. I don't know anyone who is, unless maybe if we get detached enough from ourselves, like really dissolve our ego, but we're all deep feeling women here in this
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's so real. I think one of the things that we see a lot is like, there's always an edge that, oh, this is so juicy because something that's been coming through. Okay, so whoever's watching this is going to get it before anyone else. It's coming through. It's called Edge of Expansion. And there's always like an edge to our expansion. And it shows up in all aspects and all facets of our life. And so when one of the things I'm really hearing and I'm like getting from this transmission that you're sharing here around like visibility and being seen, there's an edge that you'll continually be like leaning into, and then you're in a new expansion of it, and then you're being seen even more. And that's the opportunity. You know, my world, we talk about like feminine reclamation, like reclaiming your power, reclaiming your feminine expression, your wildness, your freedom, your like liberated, like unfiltered just truth, and letting that shine through and letting that be the reason that you get to like feel full in yourself, like your full depth, your realness, your rawness. And I think in a society, in a culture, in a world that has trained women to, you know, suppress, to hide, to shrink, to play small, it's such a revolutionary act to be like, I'm going to be seen in all of myself and allow for the things that are, you know, maybe contradictory, the things that people might think are wrong, things that people disagree with, the things that are going to repel other people. Like that all gets to be here too, because that's what I'm willing to step into for the sake of my own freedom and for the sake of being a stand for my world and in my work. And I feel like this is for you too, like collective liberation. It's like for what's for one of us is for all of us. So like you being in your power and being vulnerable and being seen and continuing to initiate yourself into like, oh, this is like a new layer of the parts of me that feel like, you know, whatever that shows up, like all of the bits and pieces that show up when they're hitting a new edge. It's like, I'm doing this for me, but I'm also doing this for you. And so in that way, this is benefiting all of the people who get to see me and who get to receive from me. And I think that, you know, as leaders and as entrepreneurs, as change makers, as visionaries in the online space, whether you're someone who, you know, is at the place where it's like you have 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, or you're at the place where you're at 30,000 or 10,000 or 5,000, there's always a new edge there in respect to like being seen in your full magic, because the magic is also, in the way I see it, and I'd love to hear your feeling into this, like the magic isn't rainbows and butterflies and beauty all the time. Like the magic is also like, holy shit, I was just in the ER having the most excruciating pain in my entire fucking life while I'm like being fueled by my work, and like, what is this? Like that is the magic too. And I know you have like, you know, your own well of like juicy overflow when it comes to like how you have been initiated into deeper levels of your magic. But this piece around visibility, it just came through because you're one of those people that I know who just owns that within yourself, like owns your leadership of like, yes, like your thought leadership and your the way that you philosophize of like, this is going to turn some people off, and that's okay because it's turning the right people on. And I think that's something that we all get to really like sink into and anchor into, because that's also a nervous system capacity thing. It's like we had a little conversation about this before, like the primal parts that want to like feel unity and community, how when you get protected can feel like you're going to be like kicked out of the tribe, or you're going to be like ostracized, or you're going to be isolated, and those ways of like, yeah, just separation. um, but when it comes to, yeah, like sharing wisdom and teachings and coaching and expanding in your community and service to community, um, there's these continual like evolutions and growth of, okay, I can be seen in this too, I can be seen in this too, I can be seen in this too. And that's a huge part of where the magic is, I feel like.
I agree completely. And actually, if we scrolled all the way back to my Instagram, I'm pretty sure my first post on this account is a smoothie bowl. And I was like, hi guys, like I'm so excited to share with you about life. And I started this Instagram as journal entries basically. And so a huge curve for me on the visibility was being not just posting me naked at waterfalls in Maui, sharing like the depths and souls of my heart, but me showing up and selling and offering and positioning myself in this. This isn't just my journal, it's my offering. And that was a really big piece for me in visibility that required me owning my magic in a different kind of way, not just in being relatable, but being an invitation, an activation, a space where, okay, let's take all of this and make art and money from it. And that was a huge visibility edge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Instagram, I lost followers instead of gaining because of how I had built this account. And that was a different piece for me. The vanity metrics, and honestly, there's so much there. But what's been really alive for me in the realm of visibility and magic has been, I've recently fallen in love, completely unexpected. Literally last weekend, I was with him and I was crying. And I was like, I was supposed to meet you at the end of this year when I became perfect because that was my goal. I didn't really realize this was your quantum leap year. I was going to quantum leap past all my imperfections. The perfect version of me.
I love you so much.
And I was like, oh my God, being seen. Do those edges ever stop of, whoa, like getting, having to be seen in all of who I am, all the crazy. I've invested $100,000 in mentorship and I'm like sharing this with someone. And I'm like, it made sense when I did it for me, like now I have to like own everything I've done and be seen there. It just takes me into deeper, 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 more raw, more authentic parts of myself. It's like never fucking ending. And I really feel like that's where the magic is. In Zen Buddhism, they have this philosophy. Before Zen, the mountain is a mountain. During Zen, the mountain is magic. After Zen, the mountain's a mountain. And my thought is, well, how do we create where I'm the magic, so the mountain's the magic. I'm the magic, so my trip to the ER is the magic. I'm the magic, so me being seen is the magic. It's because I am that, that's what's being reflected to me. But to really become that kind of woman, I feel like it's a devotion and a discipline and requires such depth of honesty, to be honest with ourselves, with other people about what we're feeling, what we're navigating, what we desire, the truth, the current of truth, that layers are continually getting peeled back. And I can go back now because I've had so many iterations being visible for so young. And I'm like, I don't agree with things I've said. And to be able to keep speaking, like, it's okay, I can change my mind, I can come back around and correct. Or if you and I have a disagreement, like trusting both of us, we can be honest, we can work it out. That maturity within ourselves to be able to hold all of life and all of its nuances in the same way it's the spring equinox today. It's the autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere, and those bodies do not escape each other. And that's the magic. That's fucking crazy. I'm sorry, like what? But like that's magic.
What?
It's always happening on this planet, inescapably, unavoidably, within ourselves and everything that's happening at all times. Every human being, we're so complex and nuanced and hold so much and feel so much. And to be seen, we've lived in a culture that's made that not okay for the most part. But it's the truth.
Yep. It's so true. And oh gosh, there's so many bits and pieces here and like really good drops. The truth is like the highest frequency. I mean, that's kind of arguably because I would say love and God and all these things, but truth is a very strong frequency. It's a very, very strong frequency. And so I'm really happy that you brought it up, because it's truth, with self, honesty with self, and then honesty in relationship. And then the ways that I love that you brought in your relationship, like how it's been magnifying these parts of yourself, like, oh, like this was supposed to come later when I'm perfect, or when I've like done more work, or when I've like healed more of my things. And like life doesn't show up like that. And it directly relates to my like the way I see my relationship with money and the journey with money, and the way that I work with my clients around that too, where it's like, oh, like once I'm good enough, once I've done this X, Y, and Z, once I'm like high vibes, whatever constructs that have been created, like then I'll have the relationship that I want. Then I'll have the wealth that I want. Then I'll have the business that I want. And I mean, a huge part of magic against all odds is like it is available for us at all times. And I think you being able to welcome in this depth of like love and connection and intimacy is such a beautiful reflection of that, where it's like, as long as we're open to it, it will come.
Right.
As long as we're open to it. And what being open means on a nervous system level and like on a somatic level is like literally feeling like, one, okay, yes, we're worthy to receive it. We're worthy and deserving to receive it. And then feeling, safe or free or liberated or powerful in our bodies to like let it in, versus the ways that we've been taught to unconsciously block it. And then there's like these larger systems of oppression, like, like the toxic patriarchy and colonialism have created these unrealistic standards of ourselves, like these unachievable ways of expecting ourselves to show up, right? And so I think a huge part of like magic against all odds and in this conversation is like, we're so imperfect. We're so imperfect. We're so flawed. We have all of our shit that comes with us along the way, and the magic still happens. Like, there's no way that we can predict or plan for when it's going to be the best day of our life. It just, holy shit, it's happening. This is it. And I think I was getting a little emotional right now because I was reflecting on this yesterday. I love that you brought in your current relationship, and it's like it has that fresh new love energy. And I remember like the last two relationships were like, I never knew love could be that deep. I never knew love could feel that real. I never knew love could feel that multidimensional and magical and sweet and tender and caring and devotional, all of these things. Because prior to those, I was in really dysfunctional relationships. And so these two past relationships were like the deepest I'd ever been in love with someone else, and the deepest I'd ever been in love with myself through the relationship. And I learned to receive in a way that I had never been open to receive. And that was directly impacting my business. I had like my highest, wildest cash days. I was receiving the most phenomenal clients, the most incredible community, the most powerful, friends and sisterhood. It opened me up to wealth in all ways. It wasn't just, in this very like tunnel vision expectation of what I thought it was supposed to be. It was life, spirit, God, universe were showing me like, this is what's possible when you open up and let yourself receive. It's like, even when things are hard, even when I'm going through like massive triggers, even when like my insecurities are really getting a light shown on them, even when like, yeah, like I'm going through a struggle. And I think that this is just like, it feels so like potent right now in this connection that we have in this topic, that like magic is still here for me, and like miracles are still here for me, and I still get to be loved and accepted by myself. And that in turn is shown in, your partner getting to love and receive you exactly as you are, not in this like forever away someday after I check all of these boxes, like who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to have done before I get to have this in my life. It directly impacts all areas of life. And so, yes, in partnership, in the depth that you get to go in partnership, yes, in the devotion to self, yes, in the way that you're showing up in your leadership and the way that you're holding yourself through that, and the way that you're expanding, we talk about quantum wealth in our world, quantum growth in our world, and in being a magical woman, where it's like, your magic is still held in the mess. Your magic is still held in the imperfections. Your magic is still held in like, God, I'm feeling like maybe low today, and what is still here for me? Like, what can I still give? What can I still receive? How can I still let myself be surprised or let myself be blown away by what's the beauty, I think, in the muck is another thing that I love diving into, because, there's a lot of horrible things that are happening in the world right now. politically, globally, there's a lot of horrible, atrocious things. And can we hold the magic and the beauty and the possibility while also being real with what is happening in humanity right now and in this time in history? Like, not bypassing or ignoring the realities that are happening both here in our country and in our world, but also like in the larger ways that our government and our like, you know, systems are impacting other parts of the world while still owning in our own bodies and in our own work. It's like, yeah, and there's fucking magic here for you. Like, it's so big and so deep, and I love it.
It is big, and what came to mind when you were saying that was Wabi-Sabi, the Japanese philosophy and art form. My cup is broken, and I'm acknowledging that this cup is broken. There are cracks, but I'm going to fill them with gold and make them more beautiful. And it's that opportunity that we are given every day to some degree. Like we're saying, the spring equinox, autumn equinox, always that polarity happening here on planet Earth. I don't know if we will get to a place collectively where we're ever beyond the devastation and the beauty in this way. I mean, God, last night the sunset here, I live in the desert, so you can see, oh my God, the whole sky. I'm like, what? This is the planet we're on. There's this beauty that just for no reason, oh, the whole sky is red. Like, what? Where are we? How is this possible? And then at the same time, knowing, yeah, the things that are happening in Palestine, the things that are happening at the White House and everywhere in between, and people being born, and the fullness of this existence, to be able to hold it. To me, that's what I would call existential bliss, where those moments where I can feel the potency, the fullness of it, and really hold space for it, or just like let it exist within my awareness. It is so big. And I've also been thinking about my ex-boyfriend, my last relationship, amazing man. I manifested him completely. I mean, I had a list of everything I wanted in a partner, and it
was great. Please keep going.
A T. I know it's like, well, it sounds different, but we're gonna sound together. But that was the frequency that showed up in our whole relationship. It was like me manifesting what happened next, me kind of containing the manifestation, me holding it, me directing it, me like, okay, maybe now I'll manifest this for us, or I'll manifest this for us. Where the now relationship that I've called in, I mean, for the past 5 years, this man's been manifesting me. He knew exactly what he wanted. He went like 100 dates, 100 first dates, like over the past 5 years. And crazy, right? And that frequency it's a different frequency to be the answer to the prayer, to be the frequency match, to be what was being asked for. And I'm finding this level of openness and surrender within that, as like, yes, within relationship, but just as a thought experiment of being the one that's creating and making happen versus being the one that's literally the answer to the prayer, what other people are asking for, within service to the world. Like, there's me interjecting what I think life should be, but then there's me actually supporting the things that need the support because they were already looking for me. Mm-hmm. Global scheme of how I can contribute, but also client to client, within relationship, within easeful connections like ours, Jasmine, where we're soul sisters and we could jive on anything. And it's such a different form. To me, that's where the magic really, I was thinking about one of the first spiritual books I ever read was, I don't know on the name of this book. It's about synchronicities. It's like, what is it called? Not the Philosopher's Code.
Celestine Prophecy?
Celestine Prophecy! Oh my God!
I got you.
Thank you.
That synchronicity, I was like, ooh.
Exactly. Yeah, and then rereading Surrender Experiment the other day, and I've really been feeling that, like, who knows how big my impact can be, but I know that if I'm not forcing myself to open, it's like that, the whole forcing something, but I'm allowing it, and I'm meeting life where I'm needed, where I'm wanted, where actually the desire for me is bigger for my desire for what I think I should be doing or what should be happening in my life. God, like if you have something go viral, talking like full circle to visibility, millions of people are meant to see what you're bringing through. Like, it's fucking worth you doing whatever needs to be done for you to hold that.
Yeah.
Like, this love having met me in this moment, I'm like, oh, here's all the shit that I thought I would fix before I manifested it, but I needed to have it to be able to see and love myself in these ways. Like, oh, it's worth the things I have to hold and do. It's to receive money, the wealth codes that you bring through. Like, this to me is the magic. Life is so perfect. It's evolving. It's growing. It's expanding. How did I live in this part of the world? Like Abiquiu, New Mexico is really close to me. It's where Georgia O'Keeffe used to paint. And I was in the museum and they're like showing the layers of sediment because there's red, protruding red, yellow, orange rocks that you're like, what? Just thrown from the ground? It's like, yeah, this used to be the ocean. And that red sediment is red seashells that compacted 300 million years ago or something insane. You're like, wait, what? But somehow this was the ocean. And now it's the desert. What is this? Like how? Oh, like it's so big, the magnitude of what happens on this planet.
Mm.
And for me to get to meet life instead of always try to make life be what I think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the magic to me. That's magic.
Ah, this is so good and so juicy. I love the synchronicity. Huh. I already intended that you brought in the surrender experiment because that's a book. I reread it. I was starting to reread it during my world tour. So, like I was on this world tour. Now it's cut in parts. So part one is over and part two is TBD. But I was rereading it, like on the planes and as I was traveling in like India and Brazil and Argentina and all of these places and remembering this, surrendering into life, right? Like I think one of the things that's so beautiful about being magical women, about being magical humans, about being multidimensional visionaries, change makers, people who have a mission or who have a why that expands us because of how big it is, because of how much larger than it is than we are, right? It's like when we think about like the multiverse and outer space, like it brings us beyond the limitations of who we are attached to being or what we have been conditioned to believe or think or behave. And so it allows for us to experience a whole different, expanded version and reality and take the actions from that place and all of the things. And so I think that it's such a really beautiful piece that you're bringing in here around the difference between, I think, like a more wounded self, which all of us have different wounds, I think, that get triggered. And I don't believe that anyone is ever quote unquote healed, but I do believe in the kind of the paradox of like, I'm healed and I'm healing. Like I am always healed, like I'm nothing to be fixed and there's nothing broken here. But I don't personally believe, and I'm actually curious of your thoughts on this. Like, I will go through this lifetime and like everything will be healed. Like everything about my being will be healed. It's like we bring in these patterns, we bring in these different ways of of relating, different ways of like connecting with ourselves and connecting with people that are ancestral. They've been passed down, and then on a soul level, depending on your belief system, there's like karma there, and so then your soul comes into this life and all the things there. And so all that being said, that like you can hold the duality of the both of I'm healed and I'm healing, and it means that there will ever be a time where you'll never be triggered ever for the rest of your life, right? Like there will be some time, some place where something is going to trigger some part that feels, insecure, feels wounded, or feels whatever. And that's the part that wants to control life. That's the part that wants to manipulate circumstances to be in your benefit or to be to your preferences. And one of the things that Michael Singer, I think, does so brilliantly in his book is he's going through this massive spiritual awakening and these initiations that lead him to places that he never thought he was going to go. Is like, what if I free myself from like wanting to control the outcome here and let life show up for me, right? And let myself be guided and be led by life. And for us in this conversation, like the deepening into that for me is like, as the magical woman against all odds or against, the barriers or the circumstances that would keep you where you're at, when the invitation is to expand, like to go on the edge of the next expansion for yourself, is like, yeah, I can allow life to meet me here, and I can meet whoever, whether these are lovers and partners or sisters or friends or, you know, strangers that become, you know, collaborators or partners, or whether these are clients that like end up becoming like beautiful solstice lifelong clients. Like I am the answer to that. They are the answer to this. Like we're meeting each other in that when there's a higher, I think, a higher, um, like it's a matter of openness in the body and also a higher openness in consciousness. It's like I'm seeing that there are things that are possible that I don't even know. Like I don't even know. And that's where the mystery is as well, like the surrender in the mystery. And so, it brings me back to this beautiful piece that we're speaking into that I've been really feeling so deep, and I'm sure you have too. At least I feel like you have. Is like, gosh, like I, I'm the answer to these prayers, right? And I think that it brings it back to my first relationship. Of course, we end up talking about relationships because you're relationship vibes. I'm like over here living my single life, and you're like deeply in your freshness of your relationship. But it reminds me of my very first relationship ever. The first time I fell in love. His mom was like, "You are an answer to our prayers." She's like, "You're like an angel. God sent you." And it was the first time in my life that I ever heard that ever. At least maybe my parents had told me, I don't know, but it was the first time I'd ever heard it from like someone that wasn't my family. And that's when it first clicked for me. I'm like, oh, like I am like a God given gift to the world. And when we see I'm getting, when we see ourselves as that, we're like, I am a gift to the world. Everyone who gets to experience me, everyone who gets to be in my presence is blessed. Then it allows, I think, for me, and I'm sure that for those of you who are listening, you've experienced this with the people that are blessings in your life. Like, wow, how differently would my life be if I hadn't met this person? They changed the entire trajectory of what was possible for me, of what I could step into, of what I could own, of the power that was always within me, but that they just showed I could activate, of, you know, the possibilities that I thought I was too small to get to experience, but now are my actual reality. Like I'm living the dream life. I'm living the career, the artistry, the leadership, the traveling, the family, the house, the impact, like the meaningfulness of my life has been grown because you showed up for me, right? And that's what being a magical woman is. You know, it's like, when there's all the reasons to not show up, it's like you show up. And I would love to hear for you, you know, how maybe there's a recent story, or maybe there's just a story that feels like it's the most like powerful in your experience, of where it's like, oh, there's so many reasons for you to maybe have not shown up against all odds, but you did, and you were the magic, and you got to be the magic for whoever it was that got to receive you, and how that elevated you and how that elevated your leadership and your work. Because it is such a powerful thing of like, yeah, we truly are answered prayers. And when we hold that in our hearts and in our spirits, in our bodies, like that's the kind of, you know, rare quality that really has the power to transform the world, whether it's on the micro levels that have ripple out effects, and we're talking about visibility, or whether it's on the micro levels where it's like, you know, you're someone who is every day you're being seen by hundreds of thousands of people, which some of my clients, they are at that level. And it's like, it doesn't make any of it higher or lower or better or worse. It's like everything touches everything. Everything impacts everything. And so, you know, for those of you who are listening, for our communities and for the people that are tuning in here, to get to like, to anchor this into your own system, I think it would be so great to get to hear from you in that too, of, yeah, like owning, like I'm the answer to this prayer, and that is having a ripple out effect on the world, and the magic being something that is experienced when it can easily be disconnected from.
And this is a story that was coming to my mind, actually, is something where on the outside it looks like it wasn't really a good thing, and it turned into being a really good thing. And I feel part of being what I call a magic woman is knowing it's happening for me to be the woman who has what I desire. So even when it's a situation that's not so good or doesn't feel as great, or it's like, oh, this isn't what I wanted, knowing that that's still the way, that's still the path, and to create that assumption level in our body is one thing. But yeah, one thing I want to share is with my little sisters, which I know you have younger sisters too. And I feel, I was talking with my sister the other day and she was like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you about this, something she was experiencing with some body image stuff because she knew that I would hold her accountable because she's watched my journey. And that hit me harder than a lot of things. Because it's my sister. And in that same breath, I've had two women come into my world and get off of methamphetamine. One, my blood sister, and another, a dear soul kindred sister who's actually now my chef at retreats, where they didn't go to rehab, they didn't do
Wow.
these things that people typically do. They literally became a magic woman and just were no longer addicted to methamphetamine, which is blows my absolute mind. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around that, but anything is possible. Like the magic, the timeline, the steps between A to Z can be taken in one leap when you're open to the magic and to being the miracle. So I feel like the body of work that's come through me has been an answered prayer for some women who've been going through hard things in life, whether it be body image stuff, which I think affects every woman. I've never met a woman who's not experienced some form of body image struggle in this lifetime. It's like an epidemic for our generation, to these harder things like being addicted to drugs or not loving ourselves or having self-harmed. Like my work has seemed to impact women in that way. Yeah, so I was thinking about both of those this past couple of days when I had that conversation with my sister about body image. But also just like, yeah, what's been fun for me with this relationship is he literally was like, you're a dream come true, like I'm true. And I'm like, I feel so good. But seeing how my presence in this man's life is inspiring him to show up more for his mission, inspiring him to like, yeah, he's like, I'm not just working for me, is what it feels like. And I'm like, whoa, just my presence, just my essence, just me being here is inviting someone else to move a mountain. And it's that subtle, sometimes it's such a subtle thing. One of my dear friends and clients, her name is Zinni. Love this woman to death. We just got done with like a little month immersion. And as we were working together, she was navigating some stuff that came up with like ancestral things. And I said, I don't market that way. Like that's not part of my work. Those aren't even words I really use often. Like, let's heal your ancestry. That never comes out of my mouth. But the byproduct, right, of like loving ourselves, showing up and learning to love ourselves. And I know this one because it comes up for me. It's my, they say like healing is the spiral. Like for me, that's my spiral. Like I fucking know what it is at the core. I'm like, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I enough? And for me, like every time I go through that spiral, which I was just sharing this past weekend, where I was like, I was supposed to be perfect before we met, because now you have to see how imperfect I am, and I don't know if I'm enough. Like that's what's at my fucking core. Like for me to be able to see that and own that and love that, and I think share it so honestly, that permission slip, which I'd be curious for you, Jasmine, your thoughts on this. I feel like that's why I've invested $100,000 in coaching, is to get in the room with women at all these different levels who've created all these things, and for me to let them see me when I'm in like my fucking like and for them to be like, oh, me too, you can still do it, like you were so beautifully saying, you don't got to be filled first, girl, like this is the way, like open to receive, baby, life wants to gift you your imperfection is the magic. It is the magic. What would be the need for love if I was perfect? I would just be love.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm imperfect, we get to exist in this 3D realm of polarity where love can endow me with its presence. It's like, oh my God. And for me, that's why like 95% of the reason I've invested in mentorship is for that. Hey girl, me too. You've still got this, show up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'm happy that you brought this in because I haven't thought about this in a little while. And it's true, I haven't even counted. I counted it a while ago. Oh, not a while ago, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago. I think it was like 400,000, something ridiculous that I've invested. Like it's been a lot of money. Like, and not all of that was entirely cash. Like some of it was given in scholarship or in grants in different parts of my journey. Like there's some spaces that I literally, when I first started, um, it was being able to be given space by people giving me scholarships or giving me like partial scholarships. That's what like allowed me to even get to be in like the kinds of rooms that I wanted to be in. But private coaching and all that, that's always been like entirely in full, and masterminds and things like that. So I think it's been like honestly almost $500,000 that I've invested in myself and in my work and in my like mentorship and in my coaching, and in my training and all of these things. And I think that this piece around imperfection and what's coming through for me is like this unconditional love. You know, I teach, not really so much teach classes of yoga, but like I learn and work within the yogic philosophy, and I'm trained in the Hatha lineage. And one of like the core concepts of like yoga and like our boundless unconditional love for self is like continuing to get to meet our samskara, our patterns, and get to like be on the path of constantly like learning how to love the parts of ourselves that we're taught to not love, you know? And I think one of the things about sisterhood, I'm so happy you brought this in because it's so like just divine here. It's divinely timed about sisterhood and about coaching spaces and about like investing in ourselves in these kinds of a way, and like these high level, like closer proximity, like high touch kind of spaces, is that we see like our full spectrum humanness. You see, you know, the person who's fucking killing it, and on the outside like is having, you know, let's say like a 100K week, or having like their biggest launch ever, while they're also like struggling with something that's happening. Maybe there's a rupture that's happening in their partnership or in their family, or there's like a personal thing that like is really hard that they're navigating. And so you see how you show up still, like that you just still show up. It's like there's no excuses. It's like, yeah, we take the time and we make the choices that are always in our highest alignment in terms of like caring for the self and caring for the body. So there are instances where it's inappropriate to lean out, and of course to rest and to take care of yourself. But then there's also like, hi, gorgeous. I'm so happy.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, Kendall, my love, and we have Emily. And I think that, yeah, like those are the initiators into our own, expansion of what's possible for ourselves as women and as leaders. Is like, I can see everything that could be the evidence of why it's not working. I could see everything as a reason why I could not show up. And when we have these reflections in these like intimate spaces of, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going through this too, or yeah, I'm struggling with that too, or oh yeah, we see each other in ourselves, while we also see like they can exist at the same time, the duality, like the goodness, the richness, the like the wild, wealthy goodness of like all of what we, you know, desire, and then like the hard, painful, sticky, crunchy, like it's happening simultaneously, and it's being able to hold all of that in our power as we navigate, you know, the highs and lows and the ebbs and flows. And it's like, oh yeah, she can do it, I can do it too, right? That's that walking permission slip that I think is a huge aspect of what entrepreneurship is in general, and like in mission driven women, and in having mentorship, is like, yeah, like if she's gone through this, and this, and she's still rising. Like if y'all knew, like if you knew everything that Autumn went through, if you've known everything that I've gone through, if you've known everything that, like, you know, the moments where we're like, well, I can speak for myself, but you're welcome to speak for yourself. You know, like crying in the shower, feeling like a horrible mess. Like, what am I even doing? Am I a failure? And still showing up and went on live 10 minutes later, sold something that day. And like, oh, it's all working. Like, what? You can't predict that shit. Like, that's the magic of it. It's like, yeah, we can be our full humans and see other humans being their full humans. That's what I love about, you know, wealth mind, well, I call mine wealth minds, but masterminds, or like those spaces where we're like, yeah, I'm showing up with all of this, like this is the mess, this is like what's really fucking challenging for me right now, and this is what I'm holding for myself as possible. This is the vision I have on my heart. This is the mission that I'm going to stand up for every day when I could just not. So I'm happy that you brought that in, because investing, I think it takes a certain particular kind of human, and those are the women that come to work with us, to be willing to be that devoted to something that is like so much bigger than us, but that we are also healing ourselves through. Like we're also liberating ourselves through. And so we like, I know that we at least, and I'm sure most of the people that are, if not all of the people that watch this, like are the kinds of people that it's like, oh, I am so invested in creating this, you know, this world, creating this change, creating this revolution in whatever way it looks for you in your specific, you know, line of work, whatever your magic is, whatever your medicine is, that I stay in the rooms that challenge me, that stretch me to grow in that, because I know what it's like to not have that. And why would I make it so much harder on myself? You know, it's like, it's already hard enough. Might as well create as much ease as I possibly can. Like inside of my world, as you know, it's like everything is about like, for ease and pleasure around here. Because I know what it's like for it to be hard and fucking shitty. So let's do everything we can to make it useful and pleasurable. Let's make it feel good.
Absolutely, because life is a fight in general. Like we're fighting to stay alive. Our bodies are fighting to stay alive, but we can do that pleasure filled, or we can do that with the struggle. Did you read that note that Shoshana had sent in Money March that Jeff Bezos had wrote?
Mm-hmm.
Read that?
No.
It was super fascinating. He was talking about like our whole body constantly is having to fight against room temperature, basically. That's what our body is doing, warming itself. We're burning calories. Let's say this, but a little science. We're burning calories, which is creating heat. And as soon as we die, we turn to room temperature. And he uses this as this grander metaphor for you, like, to not be average, to not be normal requires every bit of you all the time. There's a little, but you can be in the fight in pleasure.
Yeah.
Like, I've been on the beach in Maui. I lived there for 6 years, knowing I should be enjoying it and being fucking numb and in struggle because that's what was happening inside of me. And I love that I got to have that lesson in life because it's something I can continually come back to. It's like, oh, I was in the most pleasurable place, not in pleasure. I can be in the least pleasurable place in pleasure if I access that and choose that. So both are true. Life is crazy in that way. Like, we have to be active. Everything requires from us. If you want to clean house, you have to fucking clean it. Like this beautiful 2-bedroom home, every day. It's dusty out in this desert, you know? Like,
okay. Dusty out in this desert. All right. Well, we could talk for hours. I know that that's just so easy for us. So I do want to, you know, close this off here and for now, we'll see what happens. There's more to come, I'm sure. Give you, just a little bit of an invitation to share what's alive in your work right now. You know, where are the best ways that people can get to step into your world. And then I have a question for you after that as well.
So yes, if you're watching this on Instagram, you can find me on Instagram, of course. And everyone who's watching this from my end, definitely go follow Jasmine and engage with her work. She's incredible. And then we have the Magic Woman podcast available to stream everywhere, which Jasmine's episode on my show is in the queue to come out sometime in April. So you have to tune in for that. Then if you're watching this somehow magically before Saturday the 22nd, I have a free class called Spoiled. And that's going down. I won't even tell you what it's about. If you'll know if it's for you.
Spoiled. You'll know.
You ready to be spoiled?
Your spoiled era.
Yeah, I'm like, got my spoiled now. Ready to go.
Okay, and so I'm having fun. This new creation that I've just been birthing. This is the first time I'm even saying anything about it with you right now. It's the first time I've done something free in over a year. I was like, damn, I haven't done anything free in over a year. You know, I have my whole free resource center and there's like all of these freebies that people can always have access to, but like a live event. So it feels like really exciting for me. And what came through because of what happened last week, which you know, and everyone here is going to get to find out in the next episode because it's coming out after this episode. like the wildest day in my business, is edge of expansion. And so I would love to hear from you. What is your current edge of expansion into your wildest overflow? You know, like my work in my world, we're like wild overflow vibes over here. Our wild overflow wealth mind is like enrolling, and we have really fucking powerful queens joining that space right now. And so I'm really loving this question of getting to hear of like right on the edge of your expansion where you know you're like about to step into something that feels bigger than you've ever embodied or experienced in your money or in your leadership or in your business or in your community. Where do you feel like the edge of that is for you right now in stepping into and rising in your wildest overflow?
Ooh, this is such a good question. Well, a big piece for me, I've been living off this metaphor of my relationship because it came in completely swept me off my feet, like wasn't expecting it, and kind of took me out for a second of just this very clear trajectory I had for what this year was supposed to look like in my mind. So a part of my like expansion it's receiving in every way. Like this man, if I'm with him, he wants to pay for everything, and it's really I created this like very independent. I've got it. Like I've made my own money choices, investing in mentorship on credit. Like it's challenging me to receive to this capacity, but in the best way. I'm not complaining. Like part of me is like, but a bigger part of me is like that. So, so that's been like, yeah, just wow. Of course, like I deserve this without projecting some of the patterning I've experienced in my parents' relationship of it being burdensome or turning into resentment. But like, no, like through my gratitude and my appreciation, my receiving is a gift. Like I was answering his prayer. He's been wanting to do this with someone. He's doing it with me. He's doing it like to oh God, to receive. And so that's what spoiled. Like this is what's birthing the spoiled energy. Is like, oh yeah, I'm born to be fucking spoiled. Like as much resistance as I'm having, a bigger part of me feels so turned on and juicy, and like it's initiating me sexually in ways that I wasn't expecting.
Yes.
So my business has been a little bit of a contraction with that, but with spoiled and everything that's happening, I'm like, no babies, like let's overflow. It's that same code, let's overflow, like receiving from every direction, happily, softly, like penetrate life.
My life. What a beautiful way to end. I don't even want to say anything else. I just wanted to end with penetrated by life. So good. I love this edge for you. I'm so grateful for you and so honored to share our depth of love and sisterhood and this bond and get to witness you rising and leaning into that edge and for being a guest here. So thank you.
I love you so much. I'm honored for having me.
It's an honor to have you. So if you receive something from this, I would absolutely love for you to drop in the comments what landed for you, what opened up, what expanded for you, something that, activated within you. Go and follow Autumn and let us know in the DMs if you want to as well, like what's something that really stuck with you, because we love hearing feedback. We love getting to really receive what was the most valuable for you. So sending you so much love for you listeners, and we will be back. Well, I will be back in our next episode. Bye.